They said to show you the fact that we're real and solid and we're there, we're going to let you have 8 boats of oil.
In the next 96 hours, one man's decision could set off an energy crisis that stretches from the Persian Gulf all the way to Manila Bay. Right now, 2 wars are being fought at the same time. The first one is loud, bombs over Tehran, oil past $100 a barrel, the Strait of Hormuz shut down for the first time in living memory. Every camera on the planet is pointed at the Middle East. But there's a second war. A quiet one. It's happening 6,000 kilometers to the east, in the South China Sea. While the world stares at Iran, China has built its biggest artificial island ever. The Philippines just renamed 131 contested reefs. Japan is sending combat troops to Philippine soil for the first time since World War II. And almost nobody is connecting the dots. This is Indo-Pacific Report, and today I'm going to show you why the Iran war isn't just a Middle Eastern crisis. It's a South China Sea crisis. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, because what comes next is going to matter.
RRB 4409, you are within Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone.
We're doing really well in Iran, just so you understand. You know, I mean, how good is our military?
Let's start with the trigger. On March 26th, Donald Trump gave Iran a deadline: reopen the Strait of Hormuz by April 6th, or the United States would destroy every power plant in the country. That deadline is now 4 days away. Here's why every country in Asia should care. The Strait of Hormuz is barely 33 kilometers wide, but 20% of the world's traded oil flows through it. When Iran shut it down in early March, it didn't just spike oil prices. It sent shockwaves through every economy that runs on imported energy. And in Asia, that's all of them. Japan gets 88% of its crude through Hormuz. South Korea, 70%. India, 60%. Japan has already begun the largest drawdown of its strategic oil reserves in history. Pakistan completed its first Hormuz oil shipment in weeks and paid in Chinese yuan, not US dollars. Egypt ordered shops closed by 9 p.m. to save electricity. Pakistan's fuel prices jumped 20% in a single week. This crisis is not staying in the Middle East. It's migrating, fast, into the Indo-Pacific. And one country more than any other is using the distraction to change facts on the ground. While the world was watching Iran, China built something remarkable. This is Antelope Reef in the Paracel Islands. Back in October 2025, it was barely a sandbar. Today, it's roughly 1,490 acres of reclaimed land, nearly the size of Mischief Reef. Previously China's largest artificial island in the entire South China Sea. Think about that, 1,490 acres. About 1,100 football fields, built in 5 months, with over 30 dredging ships working around the clock. Ships that were invisible to commercial tracking. According to the Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative at CSIS, the northwestern edge of this new island has been shaped with a straight edge stretching over 11,000 feet. Perfectly suited for a 9,000-foot military runway. There are already more than 50 structures, a helipad, and multiple jetties. Now think about what happened during those same 5 months. America went to war with Iran. Carrier strike groups moved to the Persian Gulf. The world's media locked onto the Middle East. And behind that wall of global distraction, China launched its first major island-building operation since 2017. That's not coincidence. That's strategy. The Philippines noticed. On April 1st, President Marcos Jr. signed Executive Order 111, directing all government agencies, schools, and mapping authorities to adopt Filipino names for 131 maritime features in the Calayan Island group. China's response was swift. Beijing called it a provocation and warned of necessary measures. But in geopolitics, naming is claiming. When a country assigns its own names to contested territory and makes them official in every map, textbook, and government document, that's not symbolic. That's an act of administrative sovereignty. The Philippines is not backing down. The energy crisis born in Hormuz is now rewriting the strategic calculations of every nation on this map. Let me walk you through the key players. In just the past month, a Chinese frigate nearly rammed a Philippine naval vessel near Pag-asa Island, a major escalation from Coast Guard confrontations to Navy-on-Navy incidents. China jammed Starlink connections on Philippine Coast Guard vessels near Scarborough Shoal. And Manila responded by renaming 131 maritime features, the most assertive administrative move since the Philippines won its 2016 arbitral tribunal ruling. The Philippines imports over half its energy. Rising oil prices hit ordinary Filipinos hard. Rice transport costs, fishing boat fuel, jeepney fares. But despite that pressure, Manila is standing firm.
We received the confirmation from Admiral Paparo himself. He said that this will still be the biggest Balikatan exercise despite the war going on in Middle East.
Balikatan 2026, the largest ever iteration of U.S.-Philippine military exercises, kicks off April 20th. And for the first time since 1945, Japanese combat troops will stand on Philippine soil. Antelope Reef sits just 216 nautical miles from Da Nang, Vietnam's third largest city. Hanoi called the construction completely illegal, but Vietnam has its own quiet strategy. It holds 49 features in the Spratlys, more than any other claimant, and has been steadily building up its own outposts.
Thưa ngài Chủ tịch Đại hội đồng Liên Hợp Quốc.
Vietnam's approach has always been what scholars call bamboo diplomacy. Bend but don't break. Balance between great powers. But Antelope Reef puts an advanced Chinese military base closer to Vietnamese shores than ever. The question is, how far can bamboo bend before it snaps? Indonesia has the biggest economy and population in Southeast Asia. It's never been a formal claimant in this dispute, but China's 9-dash line cuts right into Indonesian waters around the Natuna Islands. Jakarta has already signed a $2.3 billion deal for French Rafale jets and is shopping for advanced submarines. Here's the thing that keeps Indonesia's leaders up at night. If Hormuz stays shut, the alternative shipping routes run through Indonesian waters, the Malacca, Lombok, and Makassar Straits. Indonesia suddenly becomes the gatekeeper of global energy transit. Thailand imports 80% of its energy and has been drifting closer to Beijing in recent years. China's pitch is simple. America starts wars that raise your fuel prices, we build infrastructure, and offer stability. That message lands in Bangkok. Malaysia plays it quiet, no public confrontations with China, but its state energy company Petronas operates in contested waters and provides 25% of government revenue. If China militarizes Antelope Reef with advanced surveillance, it gains a new angle on Malaysian energy operations. Singapore, sitting at the tip of the Malacca Strait, understands these dual crises better than anyone. Its entire economic model depends on freedom of navigation. If China ever gains the ability to restrict shipping through the South China Sea, Singapore faces an existential threat. Taiwan isn't just a semiconductor powerhouse making over 60% of the world's advanced chips. It's the strategic hinge of the whole Indo-Pacific order. If China ever moves on Taiwan, every artificial island in the South China Sea becomes a forward operating base. Taiwan's leadership is watching the Iran war carefully. The lesson from Hormuz is clear. A determined regional power can close a critical waterway and impose massive costs on the entire world, even against American wishes. If Iran can close Hormuz, China's strategists are asking, what could we do with the Taiwan Strait? This might be the most significant development of all. On April 20th, roughly 1,000 Japanese Self-Defense Force combat troops will arrive in the Philippines for Balikatan 2026.
Previously, in the mga previous balikatans, they were here, but they were training us on how to rescue people from...
The Philippine Armed Forces Chief, General Romeo Bronner, put it plainly. 81 years ago, Japan and the Philippines were on opposite sides of the bloodiest war in history. Over 1 million Filipinos died. Manila was the second most destroyed city of the war, and now, 81 years later, Japanese soldiers return not as occupiers, but as allies, standing shoulder to shoulder with Filipino and American forces against a common concern. Let the weight of that sink in. Japan gets 88% of its oil through Hormuz. Its defense spending has broken past 2% of GDP, and Tokyo sees the South China Sea and East China Sea as one connected theater. What China does in one directly affects the other. Japan's rearmament is the most significant military shift in East Asia since the Cold War ended. The Iran crisis has only accelerated it. South Korea imports over 70% of its oil through Hormuz. Samsung, Hyundai, SK Hynix, they all run on energy that flows through two choke points, Hormuz and Malacca. If both straits face restrictions at the same time, South Korea's economy hits a crisis with no modern precedent. Seoul has quietly started expanding its naval capabilities and deepening defense ties with Australia, Japan, and the Philippines. To understand what China is doing, you need to stop thinking in news cycles and start thinking in decades. In 2013, China started dredging in the Spratlys. By 2017, it had 7 artificial islands with runways, radar, and missile batteries. The world protested. China, ignored it. Then it stopped, for 8 years. It let the outrage fade. It let the world get distracted by COVID, Ukraine, inflation, elections. Then, in October 2025, while the world watched Iran's nuclear escalation, China quietly restarted. Antelope Reef, 30 dredging ships, 1,490 acres in 5 months. China now has 4 airstrips in the South China Sea, with Antelope Reef on track to become the 5th. Surface-to-air missiles, anti-ship cruise missiles, electronic warfare, naval harbors, all in place. But beyond hardware, China is creating what strategists call fait accompli, facts on the ground so established that reversing them becomes unthinkable. And the Iran war is a gift for this strategy. Every American carrier in the Persian Gulf is one fewer in the Western Pacific. Every $1 billion spent on Tomahawks hitting Iranian targets is $1 billion not invested in Indo-Pacific deterrence. China didn't start the Iran war, but in this theater, China benefits from it more than anyone. So what's the answer? In 18 days, the biggest Balikatan exercises in history begin. The US, Philippines, Japan, Australia, and France will run multi-domain operations, land, sea, air, cyber, focused on defending the Philippine archipelago and the Luzon Strait. Japanese combat troops on Philippine soil for the first time since 1945. France deploying an amphibious helicopter carrier, cyber defense drills shaped by the Russia-Ukraine war and the ongoing Iran conflict. Admiral Samuel Paparo, commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, has personally assured the Philippines that the Iran war won't reduce America's commitment here. But here's the question nobody is asking out loud. Can the United States credibly fight a war in the Middle East and simultaneously deter China in the Western Pacific? Because if the answer is no, if America's bandwidth is genuinely stretched, then the window for Chinese action is open. Not for invasion, not for war, but for exactly what we're already seeing: island building, electronic warfare, Coast Guard coercion, gray zone operations that fall just below the threshold of military conflict but steadily shift the balance of power. Here's where I'll leave you. We are living through a moment where the world's 4 most critical maritime choke points are under simultaneous stress. Hormuz is closed. The South China Sea is being militarized. The Taiwan Strait faces growing coercion. And the Malacca Strait, the thread connecting all of them, is more strategically significant than at any point since World War II. In April 2026, 2 great powers are contesting control of these waters in real time. One is fighting a hot war in the Middle East while trying to hold the line in Asia. The other is building, expanding, and waiting, with the patience of a civilization that measures time in centuries, not election cycles. The real test isn't military strength. It's whether the world can pay attention to more than one crisis at a time. The evidence, so far, suggests it can't. But you're here. You're watching. And that means at least some of us are paying attention. If this breakdown helped you see what's really happening, subscribe and hit the bell. The next few weeks are going to be critical. Share this with someone who only knows about the Iran war but doesn't understand what it means for Asia. And drop a comment telling me which country you want a full deep dive on next.